Hey guys, so today we're going to do the unboxing and comparison of a few different high-end IEMs or in-ear monitors. And so the only one I actually have a box for in this video is the newly released Quill Acoustics Satin. And this is a pretty special IEM because this is a collaboration between Quill Acoustics, which I think is a new Chinese IM company. I haven't really heard of them before. They did a collaboration with Music Tech, which is a big music dealer in the US that focuses on headphones and in-ear monitors and stuff. And so yeah, this is a collaboration that they did together after years and years of tuning tests and tweaking and feedback from people. And they finally came out with this IEM, the Satin. And I've heard some things about it. It's not really that popular among, I would say, audiophiles yet, because it's just kind of a new company that just started out with this thing. But from the few reviews that I've read, it seems to be like a really well-tuned IEM and good technical details as well. So that made me kind of excited, and I saw one online for a bit cheaper in price, so I decided to pick this one up. So this retails for $3,300 US. Yes, I know that's very expensive. And all the IEMs I'll be talking about in this video will be pretty expensive. So yeah, I know it's a crazy hobby. Once you go down the whole rabbit hole of headphones and earphones and speakers, all the audiophile stuff, it gets really, really expensive. But yeah, in this video, I'll be talking about a few different high-end in-ear monitors that are at least like $2,000 or $3,000 and up. But yeah, retails for $3,300 US. And I got this one cheaper for around $2,000 US. So yeah, let's check it out. So this is the packaging here. It says, every note sings a story, every chord paints a memory, every beat stirs the soul. Okay, some poetic stuff there. And again, Quill Acoustics is kind of a new company, I think. I don't think they're very well known yet. So far as I know, the Satin is their most talked about product, and it just came out like a few months ago, this year, 2025. So yeah, so the packaging is like this. Says Quill, the publisher of sound. I don't think they even have a website. I'm unable to find a website for Quill Acoustics, so they don't even have a website up yet. So here are the specs. I don't need to read you from my phone because they have it right here on a sheet. So the specs of this IEM, which they refined over many back and forth rounds of feedback from people who listen to it and everything. So they spent a lot of time tuning this thing. So I believe this is a collaboration between John Guo of Quill Acoustics and Leo from Music Tech, who's like one of the, I guess, co-founders of Music Tech. So you have 10 drivers here in a quad bridge configuration. What quad bridge means is that there's 4 different types of drivers in this thing. So this has one 10mm custom titanium PU hybrid Q-Force dynamic driver. Yeah, it must be their proprietary type of dynamic driver, I guess, which they're probably going to use for the lows, because dynamic drivers is well known for producing like impactful low frequencies. So they'll probably use that as a subwoofer, I believe. And the 7 balanced armatures from Sonian and Nowells. Those are very well known makers of drivers that everyone pretty much uses in the industry. One 7.2mm house designed silken planar magnetic driver. That's pretty interesting. That's a custom designed planar magnetic driver, and one full range PZT bone conduction driver, which I believe bone conduction is to add air to the frequencies and everything, so that would be pretty interesting as well. So you have 4 different driver types. You got balanced armature, which is the most common driver type in IEMs, but you also get dynamic, planar magnetic, and bone conduction. Okay, 7-way passive crossover as a frequency response, sensitivity, impedance, trio pass multi-layering phase system for natural timbre and precise phase accuracy, micron grade bass filters for ultra clean yet impactful bass response, hybrid sound tunnel materials, patent pending. Different hybrid materials are used for different frequencies to get the optimum timbre. Okay, and then you got each of the shells are handmade, so they don't produce too many of these. These are like not mass produced or anything. I think each of these 3D printed shells have like a slightly different aesthetic to it. I mean, they all have like kind of the same basic aesthetic, but I think they're all like kind of painted by hand, maybe. But yeah, it kind of contributes to some of these high-end IEMs are just made by hand. You know, that's why it's part of the reason why they're so expensive. Top grade inner wiring and soldering made in Japan, and a custom-tuned PW Audio OCC cable with a 2-pin connector. PW Audio is a well-known maker of aftermarket IEM cables. They make everything from a couple $100 all the way to thousands of dollars. So they're a Hong Kong cable company, so they're using PW Audio makes sense. They're a well-known IEM cable company making yeah, lots of cables, and they're highly respected for that. So let's take a look at the box here. So this is what it looks like here. So this is the main IEMs up here. And so you got some ear tips here. So let's take a look. Yeah, so this is the ear tips. Yeah, so I think there's some already on the IEMs already. But yeah, these are some of the ear tips that you get. Just silicone, no foam ear tips or anything. I don't think they're branded either. I'm not sure if they're Spin Fit or Sedna Fit or anything. Maybe they're just unbranded. Okay, but anyways, you come with, at least it comes with, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So yeah, 6 pairs of ear tips there. So I think it will fit probably pretty much most people, right? Extra small to extra large. Okay, and here is the carrying case, which I think has the cables inside. So it's a nice leather texture here. I'm not sure if it's real leather or not, but it's a nice leather case here. And you open up and you have the PW Audio cables. So as mentioned, PW Audio is a Hong Kong aftermarket IEM cable company that makes aftermarket cables for many different IEMs, and they're well respected. Yeah, like they make very high-end cables as well, into the thousands of dollars. So these should be pretty good cables. They're just it's an OCC cable. Okay, it doesn't say too much about the materials used, but yeah, it comes stock with a PW Audio cable, which is nice because most people just buy PW Audio cables aftermarket anyways, because they're nice cables, nice cable company. Okay, now this thing looks like a little marker. I think, is this for cleaning the shells or something? Yeah, you get this thing, it might be for cleaning the shells. I'm not totally sure what it's for. Okay, but you get this thing, it looks like a fountain pen almost. Yeah, this thing looks almost like a fountain pen, but it might be for cleaning the tips or something. I assume it's for like cleaning, right? A cleaning tool. And yeah, the IEMs, which actually I'm gonna use this thing to get, they're hard to get out actually. So I'll probably just use this to help get it out. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, so yeah, these are the Quill Satins. This is what they look like here. Close up. Yeah, so they have this very interesting artwork on them. So that's something, they really do stand out a lot. I mean, I realize that in the high-end IEM industry, there's so many designs and stuff. You know, people always try to stand out with their IEMs. If you're buying expensive IEMs worth thousands of dollars, then they pay a lot of attention to how the shells look. But yeah, this looks pretty cool. Even it still stands out, right? It looks like this, yeah, blue kind of sandy dune type of art on it, I would say. Yeah, it looks like a nice blue sandy dune art, which is interesting. And then you got little quill feathers here, because when you look at quill acoustics, right, you think of a quill pen, which means like a feather pen. So you got tips already there, 2-pin connector right there, just gold plated, which is nice as well. And yeah, just this blue sandy type of, it's like blue mixed with this sandy type of color, I guess. Yeah, I don't know what else to call it, because it's not like yellow or this color. I don't know what else to call it. I just call it sandy because it looks like sand to me. Yeah, so it looks like a blue combined with like a sandy dune type of color to it. But it's very, very unique. Never seen any other IEM with this kind of color. Usually you see IEMs with like nice fancy sparkles or something like that. Yeah, this one is a very, very unique look to it. So yeah, I'm gonna check these out, and we'll compare them, because I have some other high-end IEMs to show you guys that we're going to compare to in this video. Okay, now keep in mind the next two IEMs I'm going to show you guys are actually more expensive than this one. That's right. All right, so the next one I'm going to show you guys is the Nostalgia Tesseract, which I don't have the box for. I bought the second hand. But yeah, this is what they look like. Really, really cool looking IEMs. So Nostalgia Audio is a Hong Kong IEM company that was that's fairly recent. I think they came into existence in 2020, which makes them a pretty young company, I guess. But Quill Acoustics is even newer because this one I never even heard about until this year. But yeah, this is called the Tesseract. This was their top of the line IEM until recently. I think they came out with a newer one, the Pendragon, which the Pendragon, yeah, which is the higher end one. That's their flagship now this year. But before, a couple years ago, I think 2023, I think is when they came out with these. This was their highest end. This was their flagship before. So this was their previous flagship. You can tell it looks really, really unique. The face plates and everything. I mean, they even have like these glow in the dark LED things inside of here. They're not really LEDs, but like there's these little rods here that glow in the dark, which is really cool. So they have that in there. And they're limited edition, only 150 made in the entire world. So I have number 56 out of 150 here. So yeah, it comes with the stock cables here are the Tesseract cables. So Nostalgia Audio also makes aftermarket cables. They're not quite as well known as PW Audio, but they also make their own. And comes with these Tesseract cables, which are 4 strands, 22 AWG high purity silver. And they should be pretty decent, rhodium plated connector. Yeah. All right, so a bit about the technology of the Tesseracts and the price. So these retail for $3,700 US. Yeah, that's crazy, right? But this was their previous flagship, so it's very expensive. The Pendragon is actually even more now. So once you get into the high-end IEM space, you start seeing like eye-watering prices as you go up. And the technology is a hybrid design, only two different drivers in this. There's 16 drivers though, quite a bit. So you got 10 balanced armature drivers, 2 low mid, 4 mid, and 2 high, and 6 electrostatic drivers, all for the ultra high. 5-way crossover design, low pass labyrinth technology, which is supposed to enhance the low frequency response or the bass response. Spiral flow device, ESC technology. Yeah. That's some of the other technology that Nostalgia Audio has on their spec sheet there. But yeah, these ones are pretty interesting as well. And I will tell you guys how these sound like after I do the comparison, and then I'll talk about a little bit about each one. Okay, so yeah, the Tesseracts, very, very cool looking IEMs. They are quite big. So you can see like these nozzles and everything. I need to get like, you basically have to get these ear tips from like an IEM company like Elitech. In my case, these are Nostalgia Audio themselves that provide these ear tips here. So yeah, I'm just using Nostalgia ear tips with them. Obviously, it fits the best. So yeah, we'll tell you guys how I think about these ones in comparison as well. But these are even higher end than the Quill Satins. Okay, and I got one more IEM to show you guys, which is an even higher end one. Yeah, that's right. We're going up the price ladder more and more here. Okay. So these ones are the Universal Melody Multiverse Mentor. So the UM Multiverse Mentor, which is the flagship of sorry, not Universal Melody, Unique Melody. Yeah, Unique Melody Multiverse Mentor. So this is the flagship of the Chinese IEM company, Unique Melody. They retail for, wait for this, $4,500 US. Yeah, we're getting more and more higher up now and crazier with these prices. And believe it or not, that's not even the most expensive IEMs. They have the UM Fable Sound, which is even higher price. So it's a co-flagship. Their other flagship, the Fable Sound, yeah, the UM Mason Fable Sound retails for like $6,000 or something like that, which is insane. And then there's even more expensive IEMs like the Aureolus Trelli and yeah, and some of Rhapsodio's IEMs are, anyways. Once you get into high-end IEMs, you can see that the price is just nuts. Okay, so the Multiverse Mentor is interesting. I got these all on discount. Of course, I wouldn't pay full price for them. Tesseract, Multiverse Mentor, and the Quill, I got them all for around $2,000 US. So I didn't pay the full amount, obviously, because it's insane, the full prices. Still expensive, of course, but definitely got them more of a discount. Now, the configuration of the Multiverse Mentor is interesting. So I actually have tried several of Unique Melody's IEMs before, the Mest Mark III and the Mest Jet Black. I actually really like the Mest Jet Black, by the way. But I was looking for, yeah, what their... I was curious what their flagship sounded like. So actually, each of these Multiverse Mentor shells are unique. So I happened to get this blue one, but they also have other colors as well. I think each Multiverse Mentor is a little bit unique, I think. They all have kind of their own colors, so what you see online for Multiverse Mentor might not be what you get because each of them are kind of different. So they're all kind of like handmade and bespoke in that aspect, which is not surprising considering this price. So here are the specs for this one. You get all balanced armatures and a frequency shift bone conduction driver. So technically it's a hybrid. You get 12 balanced armature and 1 bone conduction driver in this one. It's interesting because in their Mest lineup you have quad grids. So you got 4 different driver types. So somehow they reduced the driver type for this flagship. Maybe I don't know exactly why. They don't use... they are known for using bone conductions in all their IEMs. But yeah, for some reason they don't have electrostatics and dynamic drivers on this one. I don't know why. Yeah, so it's 10 pin sockets. I'm actually using my Astroacoustics pulse cable with this right now. And 5-way crossover. So yeah, it's got 4 bass drivers, 2 mids, 2 mid treble, 4 treble, and 1 frequency shift bone conduction driver. The frequency shift is interesting. So that's a pretty special bone conduction driver. This frequency shift piezoelectric bone conduction driver is to shift the frequency response to have more impactful bass. So yeah, that's interesting. I've never heard that kind of bone conduction driver before. It's some kind of Unique Melody specialty. So yeah, anyways, the Unique Melody Multiverse Mentor, the UM Multiverse Mentor, it's yeah, their flagship, and can't wait to test this one out as well and compare it to the other two. So these are all extremely high-end IEMs, right? You're talking 3,300, 3,700, 4,500 bucks. So these are all, yeah, really expensive getting up there. Anyways, let's test them all out. So the Quill Satins right here, along with the Nostalgia Audio Tesseract and the Unique Melody, yeah, Multiverse Mentors. Let's compare them, and I'll tell you guys what I think about them. I can't show you guys directly what they sound like because they're IEMs, but I will just try my best to describe to you subjectively from my listening what they sound like. And I'll be using these cables. I'll be using the PW audio cables for the Quill, and then I'll be using the yeah, Nostalgia cables, the stock cables basically for those two, and then the Astroacoustics cable for the Unique Melody Multiverse Mentor. And I'll let you guys know what I think about those. So yeah, stay tuned. Alright guys, so now after extensive testing, A/B testing of all 3 IEMs, and I've been listening to the same tracks, just going back and forth between all these different IEMs and adjusting for the volume level, making sure they all are around the same volume. Yeah, I finally have my opinion about all 3 now, and by the way, I'm using the Aston Kern SP3000M as my source. This is a pretty expensive DAP, so I think the source should be good enough. Yeah, especially if you want to hear like these more minute differences between these. I think having a good source is pretty paramount. And all of them, of course, have pretty solid cables as well. I'm not using like any low-end cables, either the stock cables or the Astroacoustics, which is a pretty decent cable. Yeah, so anyways, I have my opinion about each. Now, this is my own subjective opinion, of course, but I'm trying to describe it best for you guys. Okay, so give you guys my opinion according to each category. So I'm going to describe in terms of bass, mids, highs or treble, soundstage, and imaging, and detail and resolution. And yeah, just in terms of all these categories. Okay, so first of all, my opinion about the Quill Satin. I think this IEM probably the strongest value out of these 3, and I know value is relative because you're still talking a $3,000 IEM here, so I know that this is still extremely expensive, but relatively speaking, I think this is a very, very good performing IEM for that price. I mean, of course, it's still expensive, but I mean, relative to a lot of the other $3,000 or even $4,000 IEMs I've tried, this competes with even $4,000, even $5,000 IEMs it can compete with in terms of the detail and resolution. So basically, I would say in terms of the bass here, the Satin has probably the best sub bass I've ever heard of any IEM, and I've tried IEMs like, the I think the closest will actually be the Forte Mephisto, and that's another $4,000 IEM. And I think the closest sub bass would be that. But so far, the Quill Satin is the best, has the best sub bass out of all the IEMs I've tried. It has sub bass elevation. Yes, it is a bit elevated in the sub bass, and you'll hear it, but it's not like overwhelming. It won't bleed into the mids or anything like that. It's very well controlled. So yeah, the mid bass is just okay. It's just an average amount, but the sub bass is elevated, and honestly, it's really good quality. So I wouldn't say this is for bass heads necessarily. It's not like, I'm not talking it has a lot of it, but it has good quality. Yeah, good quality, and elevated sub bass, good quality, but not like, you know, it's not like super super pushed up or anything, so it doesn't bleed into the mids or anything. It's very well controlled. So I really love the bass on the Quill Satins. I think that especially if you love sub bass rumble, you'll really like it. Now, when it comes to the mids, this has forward upper mids. So the upper mids are forward, which means if you listen to vocal tracks, especially female vocal tracks, you really notice it. So that just kind of pops out at you when you listen to something like female vocals. Yeah, pop music or jazz singers, something like that, the voices will really pop out at you. When it comes to the highs, this has a slight peak, I would say at the brilliance level. So you're looking at the highs around what they call around 4K or 5K, around there. You'll see the brilliance there. So you'll definitely hear more sparkle and brilliance with the Quill Satins there. So the highs are, yeah, I would say sparkly. Sparkly highs is what it has. And overall, the detail is very, very good. It's highly resolving and detailed, as detailed as any other high-end IEM in the 4K or 5K range. The tonality is neutral-ish, I would say. It's not really like overly warm or bright. It's just fairly neutral-ish, I would say. So yeah, and fairly well balanced, I would say. It's not like exactly neutral, like it's not like my UM Mest Jet Blacks. Those are quite neutral, but this is not that neutral, but also sounds quite balanced at the same time. You can think of it as like, if you guys have tried the TA Audio Monarch Mark IIs, which I had before, yeah, this is kind of like that, where it's pushed up another level, where that IEM sounded balanced, not exactly neutral, but balanced sounding. But this is just that pushed up to next level with detail, resolution, soundstage, and everything. So yeah, and of course better sub bass and everything, and more high-end sparkle. So yeah, it's really balanced sounding IEM. I really like it. And when it comes to the soundstage and imaging, I would say it's decent. It's not the best at what it is. I think that's the one. If there was one thing that I would say this thing's weak at, it would be the imaging in the soundstage. But it's not like it's narrow. You got a decent amount of soundstage and imaging. It's just that there are other IEMs that have wider imaging and wider soundstage and better imaging. So that's like probably the weakest point of the Satins, in my opinion, because everything else is great. I love the bass, especially the sub bass on it. The quality is so good, and yeah, the slightly forward upper mids and the sparkly treble, I love that. And the detail resolution is very good as well. It's only the imaging soundstage, which I feel like, yeah, could be a bit better there. But otherwise, I like it. Very well balanced IEM. I think good for most genres. Another thing I noticed about the Quill Satins is that the volume, you need to turn up the volume quite a bit, because these IEMs take a lot to drive. Yeah, believe it or not, I know they're IEMs, and usually IEMs are easy to drive, but these ones, I usually have to, like, for all my other IEMs, I usually have to keep my volume, let's say, around like 60 to drive them fine. These IEMs, I had to turn up all the way up to like 95 to 100 to get the same volume level. So that just gives you an idea that, yeah, these IEMs are not very sensitive, and or they have a high impedance or something. Maybe it's a planar magnetic driver inside of them, but they just take a lot more power to drive compared to other IEMs. But when you do give it more power, it just opens up more and more. So it's almost like a full-size planar magnetic headphone in that sense. They do require a lot of power to drive, believe it or not, even though they're IEMs. So yeah, just keep that one in mind too. Okay, next up, the Nostalgia Tesseracts. So first of all, not many people will have the ability to even have these, because there's only 150 of them made. But for those of you guys who are interested in the Tesseracts, okay, here's my opinion. When it comes to bass, it's got more like a little bit of a pushed up mid bass, I would say, but the bass is definitely not as great quality as either the Tesseracts or either the Satins or the Multiverse Mentors. It doesn't have the quality of bass that these two have. So I would say that in terms of bass, the Tesseracts place a distant third. I mean, it's there, right? It's just to me, like you're relatively speaking, yeah, the Satins and the Multiverse Mentors have better bass than the Tesseracts do. So yeah, but it's okay, it's there. Then when it comes to the mids, yeah, the mids are a little bit laid back. I would say it definitely still has an upper mid push. So it's kind of got like a slight W shape, I would say. Whereas the Satins also have a W shape, but the this one doesn't have the forward upper mids as much. It's just slightly pushed up, but not quite as much as on the Satins. So you'll hear the mids, but it's a little bit more laid back compared to the Satins. So yeah, the mids are fine. Again, it's laid back, but it's not like nothing really stands out to me about it too much. Like some people say the Aureolus Trialis have really good mids, and that one really stands out. So it doesn't really have that kind of quality about it. So it doesn't stand out that much to where I can say, oh, these have really good mids or something. It's just okay. It's laid back. That's all I can say. You will see us like it's slightly pushed forward, but it's also at the same time is not like in your face like in the Satins. And then highs and treble. It doesn't have the sparkle or the brilliance that the Satins or the Multiverse Mentors have, but it does have a slight peak there where you can kind of hear the snare drums a little bit better. So in that case, it sounds a little bit more dynamic, I would say. So it's a fun sounding IEM still, because you can still hear the dynamics. It's got a little bit of a mid bass push and slight push in the upper mids, not too much, and then another push in the treble. So it's a dynamic, kind of fun sounding IEM. Still very engaging sounding. Technically, in terms of detail and resolution, it is not on the same level as Satin or Multiverse Mentor. It's slightly below. It's still got great detail, just not quite at the same level. But we're talking about multi-kilobuck IEMs here, right? So relatively speaking, of course, it's still going to sound great to most people. But I'm talking relatively speaking compared to these two, it doesn't have quite as much detail and resolution as those two. Well, detail-wise, yeah, it's still great. I mean, we're talking relative, right? So like the detail level's still on the same level as like UMS Jet Black, which I've owned before, or Visionaries V10, which I've also owned before. Like those are also multi-kilobuck IEMs, right? So we're talking about minor percentage points difference here, right? Like relatively speaking, yeah, it doesn't have quite as much detail as the Satins or the Multiverse Mentor, but it's like matter percentage points at this point. So yeah, again, don't get me wrong. When I'm talking about, one's better or the other, it's all relative speaking here, and we're talking about marginal differences essentially. So now soundstage and imaging is where this thing is really the strong point. So this thing has a massive soundstage, like both in width and in height. And imaging is just amazing on this thing. The layering and imaging probably... yeah, in terms of the soundstage and imaging, probably one of the best IEMs I've ever heard. Maybe only the Noble Ragnar Viking compares. Yeah, maybe only the Noble Viking Ragnar compares in that aspect. That's a $4,000 IEM too. So yeah, in terms of the soundstage and layering, like this thing sounds so holographic and like 3D. I know this sounds like kind of buzzwords, but yeah, holographic and 3D. It sounds like when you're listening to a track, the sounds come from around you, and the stage is immense. So yeah, the layering and the soundstage is huge on this thing. So out of all the IEMs I've owned before, I think this has the widest soundstage and probably the best layering out of all of them. Most holographic 3D sounding. So yeah, it just sounds like the voices and the stage and everything, like all the instruments are coming from around you. So that's the thing about the Tesseract. Technically, detail resolution and the frequencies like bass, mids, and treble, I would say are not quite as good as these two. But the soundstage and the imaging are top notch. So yeah, kind of a specialty IEM in my opinion. It's not really as balanced sounding as the Satins or the Mentors, but if you really want to have that wide soundstage and kind of a more interesting tuning, I guess, it's a dynamic, interesting tuning that makes it really good for like EDM or pop music or something like that, like R&B, that type of stuff. Energetic music, I think this will do really well with that kind of stuff. It's not really like, if you're looking for a neutral IEM, like, oh, playing like classical or jazz or something like that, no, it's not really, it's not like that at all. It's pretty far from neutral, and probably, yeah, in terms of balance, it's not quite as good as the Satin or the Multiverse Mentor, but in terms of the layering soundstage, it's the best at that. And it's also good at genres with a lot of energy, like pop or hip hop or yeah, EDM, those kind of genres. So it's kind of a specialty IEM in that sense, I would say. It's not for all genres, but the genres that has a lot of energy and presence, then it's really, really good in those genres. Like I listen to K-pop, and these are just amazing with K-pop, for example. Okay, so next up is the Multiverse Mentors. So yeah, these are the most expensive out of all of them. Okay, bass-wise, the Multiverse Mentors have more mid-bass, kind of more mid-bass slam, I would say. It doesn't have the sub-bass rumble that the Quill Satins do. This have more of a mid-bass slam. So if you're looking for mid-bass, this thing has it. A mid-bass is probably the more noticeable bass to most people anyways, so this thing will be perceived as having more bass than these two. So yeah, basically out of these three, in terms of bass quantity, this will have the most bass quantity. It's not really for bass heads, I would say, but I mean, maybe it is. You know, if you love your bass, this thing will satisfy you. But it's not like it's not like so much that it overwhelms the other frequencies. It's still very well controlled and yeah, still tastefully done, I would say. So I like the bass on this thing. Definitely in terms of perceivable bass quantity, this one will have the most. It has the most mid bass out of them. And quality is pretty good too. So it really depends. If you like sub bass rumble, the Satins have that. But this one, the Multiverse Mentors, have better mid bass slam. Okay, mids. This one also has kind of laid back mids. It has slightly pushed up upper mids, just like the Nostalgia Tesseracts, but it's also kind of laid back. It's not really in your face like the Satins is. So I would say the upper mids is about the same as the Tesseracts. So again, nothing like, I would say it's not like in your face or forward or anything like that. So yeah, the mids are just okay. Treble, yeah, it has a presence and sparkle, just like it with the Satins. So I would say in terms of the treble, these are similar to the Satins in that sense. It has the brilliance and the sparkle there. So yeah, that's nice, but it doesn't have the air that the Tesseracts have. The Tesseracts have a lot of air in the treble and also in the soundstage, because that kind of contributes to that nice wide airy soundstage that the Tesseracts have. Doesn't have that, but about the same as the Satins, I would say, when it comes to treble. Now, detail and resolution, it's about the same as the Satins as well. So ahead of the Tesseracts by a small amount and about the same as the Satins in terms of detail and resolution. Soundstage and imaging, it's about the same as the Satins as well. So basically, these two are, you know, decent amount of soundstage and imaging. I would say maybe like slightly wider than the Satins, maybe, like by a little bit. Like the soundstage might be slightly better than the Satins, but still below the Tesseracts, because the Tesseracts just feel so airy and so wide in the soundstage. But the Multiverse Mentors is definitely a little bit below the Tesseracts. It's not like a huge difference, but definitely a little bit below the Tesseracts, and maybe slightly ahead of the Satins actually. So yeah, I would say, yeah, in between the soundstage and imaging is in between the Satins and the Tesseracts there. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much my opinion of all three. This one's also, like for all genres, it's not neutral either. It's probably less neutral than the Satins is actually, maybe because of that pushed up mid bass. But I think of the Multiverse Mentors as pretty much same level as the Satins, which makes the Satins a better value because this costs more. Pretty much the same tier as the Satins. It's just this one has more mid bass, less sub bass, and then less pushed up upper mids. But otherwise, technically they're about the same, technicality wise. And yeah, it's I would say for all genres, it's reasonably balanced, but not quite as much as the Satins is. For all around, I would still say out of these three, the Satins is the best for all around listening. And then the Multiverse Mentors after that, which is still decent for all around listening. And then the Tesseracts is just kind of a specialty IEM. It's not really all around balanced, but it's good for certain genres, and it has a massive amount of holographic error in staging. So yeah, kind of a specialty IEM. So that's my opinion about all three of these. Yeah, in my personal pick out of these three would be the Quill Satins. I just also think these are the best value too. 3,300. I know it's still a lot of money, but relatively speaking, you know, talking about all these different IEMs for thousands of dollars, the Quill Satin punches above its price, and it sounds just as good technicality-wise as the $4,500 Multiverse Mentors. It's just a little bit different because this one has more sub bass and this one has more mid bass. This one has more forward upper mids. This one has a little bit more laid back mids. So yeah, it really depends what you're looking for. Yeah, all in all, if you're talking about different categories, mid bass goes to the Multiverse Mentor, sub bass goes to Satin. Mid wise, if you like laid back, these two are more laid back compared to this one. Satins have more forward upper mids, which jumps out at you. Treble wise, I would say in terms of sparkle and brilliance, Satins and Multiverse Mentor have it over the Tesseracts. In terms of detail and resolution, again, Satin and Multiverse Mentor a little bit more detailed than the Tesseracts, and soundstage and imaging, the Tesseracts win there. And then the Multiverse Mentor probably not far behind. Yeah, that's how I would rank these three in all these categories. All-arounder, I would go with the Satin still, and then the Multiverse Mentors come close second, and as I said, Tesseract's third for not really being all around, kind of being a specialty IEM. So yeah, so out of these three, I think that the Multiverse Mentor is probably the best if you're looking for a fun, dynamic, exciting listen, because it does have that mid-bass punch and slam. And when you push up the mid-bass, it just feels like you have more bass quantity in general. So I would say, yeah, the Multiverse Mentor sounds the most fun and dynamic and exciting. So it's really good for tracks that have a lot of energy and good genres like hip-hop, pop, EDM, dance music, like those kind of exciting genres. I think the Multiverse Mentor is best for that. It does have, probably out of these three, it has the most V-shaped type of tuning, although it's not really like, it's not like a sharp V shape or anything like that. It's pretty like still balanced still. So it doesn't push up the bass too much. It doesn't push up the highs too much. So it's not like you don't feel the mids are too recessed or anything. But out of these three, just relatively speaking, I think it does have the most kind of V-shaped type of tonality out of these three, which makes it the best for listening to the like exciting genres, I would say. And it sounds the most exciting out of these three because of that. And also has, yeah, a lot of the top end brilliance and sparkle as well. So yeah, you get mid-bass punch and weight, and you get the brilliance in the highs and the treble, a lot of energy there. So I would say if you're listening to some genres with lots of energy, exciting genres, right? Dance music or EDM or pop music, modern pop music, or K-pop, I think the Multiverse Mentor is probably the best for that. The Satin, like I said, is a good all-arounder. It's not exactly like neutral. I mean, there are more neutral IEMs, obviously. The UMS Jet Black is more neutral. The Camper 622B, the Roma Jewel, those are all more neutral IEMs. So I'm not going to say it's like neutral like that. It's still like fun sounding, but it's just not quite as V-shaped as the Multiverse Mentor. So I think in that case, it's not quite as exciting to listen to as the Multiverse Mentor. However, it is better balanced for all genres. So yeah, the Satin, however, does have that upper mid push. So I think good for female vocal tracks or just vocal tracks in general where you want to hear a little bit more of that. It is a bit mid forward in that sense, especially in the upper mids. So if you if you want to listen to like your guitar or your vocals stand out a bit more, especially female vocals, then I think the Satin's good for that. Now the Tesseract, I think, is also good for vocal tracks because it has a lot of air around the mids and the highs. So it feels like, it just has that big soundstage. So it has that wide, airy soundstage around the upper mids and the highs, and also has pushed up upper mids as well. So it's also good for female vocal tracks as well. Yeah, it just not as forward as the Satins, but you will feel like more of an airy presence basically around the female vocals if you listen to the Tesseract. So yeah, it really depends on the genres you guys listen to. If you guys listen to vocal genres, I would say that the Tesseract is actually quite good for that because it does have those airy mids and quite big soundstage and sparkly highs as well. And it has a great layering, right? So I think it's actually quite good for vocal tracks. And then for, yeah, energetic genres, like I said, I think the Multiverse Mentor is good for that. It sounds very fun and dynamic. And then as an all-arounder, I think the Satin still wins, right? So yeah, I think actually when it comes to vocal layering and depth, the Tesseract might actually be the best for that, just because, yeah, it creates the widest soundstage and has so much air around the vocals and the highs. So yeah, it just feels like like everything is kind of just around you. So yeah, I think for vocals, definitely I might actually go with the Tesseract for vocal tracks. Yeah, so it's really going to depend on your preference, because like when you get into the multi-kilobuck IEM around the 3K, 4K space, these are all really strong in their own way. They're all pretty close. They're just strong and weak in different areas, right? It's more about preference than it is about technicality at this point, because it's all very close. You know, like I said that, oh, the Satin and the Multiverse Mentor are a little bit more technical than the Tesseract, but you're talking about like, you know, just marginal differences there. They're all really, really good just in their own ways. So yeah, again, if you're looking at this price point, $3,000, $4,000, it's really about preference. Because all of these are just, they're good at their own way, right? They're good in their own way at different genres and for different preferences. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Which one would you guys choose in the comment section below? Like I said, if I were to just generalize, Tesseract for imaging and soundstage, especially for vocals, Satin, just a great all-arounder, and Multiverse Mentor are probably the best for energetic tracks. Yeah, really depends what genres you guys listen to, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Which one of these would you choose? So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Yeah, stay tuned for my IEM comparisons, because I am going to compare it to some of the other high-end IEMs I've listened to as well, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys my notes when I was testing other IEMs as well. These are all fairly expensive IEMs that I've tested and tried, although I don't own. So just want to give you guys an idea of some other IEMs as well. So the Aroma Jewel, this is the flagship Aroma Audio IEM, and Aroma Audio is another Hong Kong IEM company. I would say this one is, this is a $5,000 IEM, so it's very, very expensive, first of all. But this is a fairly neutral sounding IEM, I would say. Good imaging and very detailed and good technicalities, and all soundstage and everything as well. I would say the Aroma Jewel is probably the one to pick if you're looking for a very neutral IEM with the best technicalities at the same time. But to some people it might feel a bit boring because it's fairly neutral. But yeah, it's not really that fun sounding. But if you're looking for like a very reference neutral type of sound with a wide imaging and great detail, the Aroma Jewel is a good choice. Then there's the UM Jet Black, which I have owned before. This one's only $2,000. I know, still expensive, but not as much as these other ones. Yeah, this one is like, think of it as kind of Aroma Jewel Junior, I would say. It's like very neutral in reference as well, just not quite as, you know, doesn't have the soundstage and detail of the Aroma Jewel, but it's also only $2,000, so it's like less than half the price. I would say it's another IEM that actually punches kind of above its price though. So I would put up UMS Jet Black right up there with some of these $3,000 or even $4,000 IEMs, because it's very balanced and very neutral sounding. It doesn't really have like a recessed frequency in any area, and doesn't really push up any area either. It's just a very refined and reference sounding IEM. And yeah, like I said, if you want to have the upgrade of this one, you'd go for the Aroma Jewel. Just the soundstage is not quite as wide as some of these other higher end ones, and detail is good for its price, but yeah, again, it will compete with some 3K IEMs in terms of detail, but it's not going to compete with Aroma Jewel or anything, or even Quill Satin when it comes to the detail. But yeah, UMS Jet Black, that's a very good one, I would say. Probably the best tuned, one of the best tuned IEMs in terms of being like kind of neutral and reference, I would say. Okay, another one I tried is the Forte Mephisto. This is a $4,000 IEM, pretty expensive. the thing I noticed about this one is that pretty good mids and treble, but the thing that really stood out to me was the bass. So it had really good slam in the bass, and I think probably, although Satin had probably some of the best bass I've ever heard, Forte Mephisto is pretty up there. A little bit warmer, but yeah, I think probably the best bass I've heard in an IEM is the Mephisto. And I love that it's so well controlled, right? It doesn't bleed into the mids at all. It's very refined, well controlled, and just the perfect amount, I would say. Not too much, not too little. Just for me, Mephisto bass was the perfect bass. Now the downside is that even though it's good, you know, technicalities and everything, I feel like for the price, you could do a little bit better when it comes to some of the resolution on the mids and the treble. So yeah, that's the only thing. I mean, it's a pretty expensive IEM, right? But soundstage is decent. Bass is very punchy. Just I feel like the mids and the treble is a little bit lacking in something of this caliber. Okay, next is FIR Radon 6, which I tried, is definitely more of a V-shaped IEM. So you have more bass quantity. I don't feel like the bass is that, I mean, it has the kinetic bass thing. That's what FIR audio is about. I mean, they're a company started by former 64 audio engineer that made some of their most famous IEMs. So FIR audio has that pedigree, right? That from 64 audio, so that's why it has some similar technologies to 64 audio as well. But yeah, the FIR Radon 6, I think it retails for 3,300 US, about the same as the Satin, but I would probably just go with the Satin. I felt like the Radon 6 is like, yeah, it's a little bit too V-shaped for me. Like if you want to have a lot of bass and you also want to have that treble push, then sure, then this is a very dynamic sounding IEM. But for me, I think it's a little bit too V-shaped, a little bit too much bass and treble for me. And honestly, the quality is not as good as the Satin. So I still prefer the Quill Satin at the same price. I just think it's a better sounding IEM for me, more balanced sounding and better detail as well. So I just prefer the Quill Satin over the Radon 6 at the same price. But if you really want to have more bass and treble, then the Radon 6 could be the way to go. Next is the Noble Con, which I owned before, actually. This is actually probably the first very high-end IEM that I ever owned, like 3 years ago. What I like about the Noble Con is that, yeah, it has nice detailed treble, natural sounding mids, and the bass is quite controlled. It's not very pushed up or anything. Overall, it leans neutral, because I think the Noble Con was supposed to be kind of an evolution of the Katana. And Noble Katana was fairly lean and neutral as well. So I think the Con was kind of just an evolution, a more detailed version of the Katana, essentially. So if you're looking for, again, that kind of more neutralish sound signature with, yeah, nothing's like really pushed up all too much, and it's fairly reference sounding, then Noble Con's another good one to go for. So yeah, and yeah, Noble Audio has been around for a long time. Like, yeah, they're one of the I would say first IEM companies to come out with these high-end IEMs along with JH Audio, and it retails for 2,400, I believe. So it's still like expensive, obviously, but not quite as expensive as some of these other ones. So I still think Noble Con's a good buy, even though it's getting a little bit old. Okay, Vision VE10. I've had this IEM before. I reviewed it on my channel as well. So yeah, the VE10 is like it's like a mild W-shaped IEM, definitely on the warm side. Yeah, it's okay. Like I would say that it's more on the neutral side as well, but not exactly neutral, because it's definitely a little bit more W-shaped. Decent treble, decent mids, okay staging. Bass, I would say, I don't really like the bass, honestly. I feel like it's not as controlled as compared to, say, the Noble Con is. But it definitely gives you a bit more quantity there. So yeah, it retails for $3,000. I would say it's a bit overpriced for what you get. And it's from a well-respected German brand. I know Visioneer is pretty well-respected. But for $3,000, I think that if you pay just a little bit more, right, $300 more, you can get the Quill Satin, which is, I think, just better than the VE10 in every way. So I still just rather go for the Quill Satin than the VE10 because the VE10's like, you know, got this W shape and it tries to be like kind of neutral but fun sounding, I guess. But that's what the Quill Satins kind of want to do as well. I would also say the Kemper CP622B is another option as well, if you want something to be like a better VE10. So yeah, I would say V10 for me is not a good buy because there's just better options. The Kemper CP622B has a similar type of thing that's going for, but it just sounds better technically and it's more balanced. And yeah, for me, Quill Satin is just better. The bass and everything, imaging and detail, yeah, more controlled bass. Like, yeah, that's just my opinion on the V10. I think it's definitely slightly overpriced for what you get. All right, so the 64 Audio Tia Trio. I've actually owned this IEM before, and yeah, basically this IEM is for people who really like energetic genres like EDM or pop, K-pop, dance music, hip-hop, R&B. That will all work well with this one because it's got quite a pronounced V tuning for me. So you have elevated bass and you also have elevated treble. You also kind of have a treble spike as well, around 6 to 8K. So basically you'll hear definitely more sparkle and brilliance. It might be treble hot to some people, but I don't think it was for me because even though the treble's been pushed up, it's been done in a way that it doesn't cause harshness or fatigue. So I think some of the 64 Audio's technologies kind of made that happen where you have it pushed up, but it doesn't seem harsh or fatiguing. So I think that's kind of impressive about it, actually, the fact that, yeah, you don't really, like you have elevated highs, but you don't really feel like it's that harsh or fatiguing. And same thing with the lows. You have elevated lows, but it doesn't really bleed into the mids because it's pretty well controlled. So it's a V tuning, but it's done like really nicely well. I would say it's just controlled. All the frequencies are controlled really well. It just sounds, yeah, like all the frequencies are very separated cleanly, I would say. So yeah, I would say that's the most impressive thing about it is the soundstage. First of all, is pretty wide, especially for that price range, $2,300 US. I know it's expensive, but this is like compared to more expensive IEMs. I think it has a soundstage of like a 3K, maybe even a 4K IEM. To be honest, it has a really good soundstage for the price. And yeah, all the frequencies are very well controlled, even though it's a V shape. So yeah, they elevated the bass without making it bleed into the mids. They elevated the treble without it seeming harsh or fatiguing. So I just think overall it's a nicely tuned V-shaped IEM. I'm personally not like a huge fan of a V-shape, but if you guys do like V-shaped IEMs, which sound more fun and energetic, then this is probably a very good implementation of it. Like really, it doesn't sound. Yeah, it doesn't sound overly harsh or fatiguing, and yeah, overall I think it's just it's a nicely done V-shaped IEM. It's great for listening to energetic tracks. It will sound very fun and dynamic. So if you guys listen to energetic genres or tracks, then definitely I would say you might like the Tia Trio. But if you're looking for a more neutral, balanced type of listening experience, then this is not it. Yeah, there's definitely more balanced and neutral sounding IEMs than this. All right, then there's the Empire Ears Odin, which is kind of one of those OG flagship IEMs that's been around for a while. Empire Ears, another well-respected brand from the US. Yeah, I would say the Odin's been there for a while, so it's a little bit aging now if you compare it to other IEMs around the same price. I mean, you're talking about $3,400. I mean, at the time it came out, it was probably one of the endgame IEMs of its time, like very, very technical, detailed, soundstage is very good. The mids might be a little bit recessed because it is like a slight V shape, but yeah, for the time, I think it was very, very good. Probably like an endgame IEM when it released. But nowadays, you have so much competition. So nowadays, you have the Empire Ears Odin 2, which is, I assume, better in a lot of areas. But I haven't tried the Odin 2, just the original Odin. But I think for the original Odin, it's still a very, very good IEM, obviously. But I just think that you can probably do a bit better for the price. Like for $3,400 right now, I'm not sure if I would take the Odin over the original Odin over Quill Satin actually. And yeah, like if you can find like a cheaper secondhand IEM, then for 3,400 you can get a lot basically for that price, right? So the new Elysian, for example. So yeah, or the Camper CP 622B. Like, yeah, I think that the Odin it still holds its own. Obviously, still very very good, soundstage and detail wise. But let's just say it has way more competition than it had before. So it's still a good option. Just there's other options to consider, right? So that's what I'll say about the Odin. So let's talk about the Camper 622Bs since I already mentioned them already. So yeah, I believe these retail for around was it 3,300 or 3,400 US dollars, and I think they are very safe. Like they're tuned in a way that is fairly like neutral and balanced. So yeah, that means that nothing is really like pushed up or recessed. It's kind of similar to the UM Mesh Jet Blacks in that sense. So I think people who like the Jet Blacks tuning might also like the Campers because it's really inoffensive in pretty much every way. It's yeah, it's got a decent amount of bass, but also is not too much or too little. Same thing for the mids and treble. I don't think that yeah, I just don't think that the Camper 622Bs it pushes anything up too much. But I would say nothing's really too recessed either. It's really just a very nicely balanced IEM. So the thing about these ones is the soundstage is okay. Detail level is very good for what it is. Yeah, I think these are very neutral and also safe. So it's like I would say it's very good for most genres. So it's like for most genres, I think people would like these, but they're not necessarily the best for any genre. So it's like kind of like one of those that's very good for everything, but it's not really the best at anything, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's just a nice all-arounder. But at the same time, I think that there's IEMs that just, if I have these as my only pair, it's good for all around, but I would still gravitate to some other IEMs for certain genres, right? Like, yeah, for dynamic genres, for example, I might prefer the UM Multiverse Mentor for that. I think that would actually beat the Campers for that. But again, for all genres, I think this is probably one of the most balanced neutral IEMs I ever heard. So it's just a good all-around pick if you just want to keep it safe. Yeah, nothing is really too elevated or recessed with this one. It's kind of similar to the Mesh Jet Blacks, but I think compared to the Jet Blacks, it actually has a bit more bass and treble than Jet Blacks do. So yeah, I think those might be a little bit slightly elevated from the Jet Blacks, but it's still like very, very neutral at the same time. So it doesn't push up anything too much more. So yeah, it might be just a nice upgrade for the Jet Blacks, I think, if people like those. Next, the Astel and Kern Pathfinder. I tried this out as well. This is a collaboration that Korean company Astel and Kern did with Campfire Audio, who is well known for making IEMs. And yeah, this was like what, the $1,900 MSRP for this one. It's okay for the price. I didn't feel like it really wowed me that much actually in any way. I mean, yeah, the bass is okay, mids, treble, soundstage. It's generally well tuned. I just feel like yeah, it didn't sound like that much better than my TA Audio Monarch Mark IIs, which were like $1,000. So it's like generally it's pretty well tuned. I just didn't find it that much of an upgrade, even though it was like almost double the price. So yeah, I guess like the other IEMs on this list will probably have better technicalities than the Astel and Kern Pathfinder. But if you can find one like cheaper, then it's generally like a good, like decent balanced IEM, I would say. Okay, Soft Ear Cerberus I also tried as well. So this was $2,100 from the Chinese IEM company Soft Ears. Also found this, yeah, also not like that impressive to me either, to be honest. Yeah, like I just felt like it wasn't that much of an upgrade over my TA Audio Monarch Mark IIs again. Like decent mids and bass was sort of controlled, which is okay. Smooth highs, kind of a safe tuning, but it's just, yeah, again, it didn't really wow me that much actually. So to be honest, yeah, softer Cerberus. Again, I feel like there was better options for the price. Like the Noble Audio Con, for example. Yeah, the Con I liked more, even though it's like a little bit more expensive, but I liked it a lot more. Or the Tia Trios, you know, you pay a couple hundred, like $200 more. I think that one stands out a bit more, even though the treble's a bit hot in the Trios. But yeah, I think that's my opinion on softer Cerberus. It wasn't very memorable to me. Hyphamen Sphenar, also around $2,000. Again, didn't feel like this one was that impressive to me either. Like, bass is okay. Yeah, planar bass, but I mean it's okay. I don't think it really wowed me that much. Mids and treble as well. It's a little bit airy on the soundstage, so that's good. But again, I feel like technicality wise, there was it wasn't enough of an upgrade over my TA Audio Monarchs Mark IIs, which was my main IEM at the time. So I feel like yeah, again, what didn't really wow me that much. Again, I think the Noble Con, if you pay a couple $100 more, that one was more interesting to me, and technically yeah, more like the Noble Cons, just technically it just felt better, more detailed, high resolution. Finally, Noble Viking Ragnar, which is Noble's sort of flagship. I know they have higher end IEMs, but more limited stuff like the Chronicle and the Chronos. But the Ragnar is sort of their semi-flagship, $4,000 IEM. Noble Viking, I found the bass is probably the weakest part of it. I didn't really feel like the bass was that special. Mids were good, but not like class leading or anything. It was kind of hot on the treble, honestly, and I think this is the same thing with the Tia Trios. Yeah, both of them are kind of treble hot, but the layering and staging was really good on the Viking Ragnar's, probably on par with Tesseract, to be honest. So yeah, and very detailed, you know, very resolving, very detailed, and fairly lean. Yeah, so it's fairly neutral except for the treble. I think it's just the hot treble that makes it kind of not as neutral, but otherwise it's fairly neutral. Like the bass is neutral, doesn't really have much of a push. Mids are okay. It's also fairly neutral mids too. Just the treble's a bit spiky. So the Noble Audio Kublai Khans, which I've owned before. So these ones are, I would say, almost like a junior version of the Viking Ragnars, because it has the lean bass of the Viking Ragnar. Still very detailed. It's just definitely more lean sounding. So it's not really for bass heads at all. Yeah, I think for Noble, they tend to keep their bass kind of lean, it seems. For treble, it's definitely pushed up a bit. So it's treble forward, just like the Ragnars. And the mids are nicely detailed as well. I think just like the Ragnars. So I think compared to the Viking Ragnar, it's really kind of like that, except with less soundstage and less detail. Basically, the Viking Ragnar is almost like a direct upgrade of the Kublai Khan. The tuning is very similar. It's got a lean bass, it's got the hot treble, treble forward, and it's got more soundstage and detail. So really, I think if you like the Kublai Khans, you'll like the Viking Ragnars and vice versa. Essentially, it's almost like a junior version of that. Okay, so the Campfire Andromedas, these are the 2020 version, I think, which is the second version. They have newer releases now, of course. The Andromeda is a very talked about IEM, pretty famous, I'd say, in IEM circles. It's known especially for its sensitivity, and a lot of IEM review sites test it for that reason. And I would say the actual sound of these IEMs is just fine. It's like around the $1,000 range, and yeah, it's decently detailed, not too much. It's not going to be the last word in resolution or soundstage, but for $1,000 it competes fairly well with other $1,000 IEMs, I'd say. It's fairly V-shaped, I would say, so it's got definitely more bass and more treble. Mids are definitely recessed, so I don't particularly like the tuning of these IEMs. I do think it's too V-shaped for me, but yeah, for $1,000, I think it's fine. It's not like great value. It's just about on par with what you would expect for a $1,000 IEM. So that's my thoughts on the Andromeda 2020. Then the Campfire Claras. I didn't look at the graphs for these, by the way. I'm just telling you guys from my subjective listening, but these sounded just like upgraded Andromedas to me. Like, they are more expensive. They're like 2K instead of 1K, but yeah, I think of these as just like, okay, it's still kind of V-shaped to me. Maybe not quite as much as Andromeda, but it's still V-shaped. It's still got more bass and more highs, and it's got a little bit more detail and more soundstage than the Andromedas do. So to me, it's almost just like upgraded Andromedas. So basically, if you like the Campfire Andromedas, you'll like the Claris as well. They're not quite as sensitive as the Andromedas, but they're still like, still sensitive. I mean, it's Campfires, so they don't take too much power to drive. But yeah, overall, I think of this as just Andromeda tuning with, which is like, V-shaped, leaning V-shaped. Yeah, with more soundstage and more detail, basically. So yeah, it's not for me. I don't particularly like this the V-shaped tuning as much, but yeah, I would say if you like that, then I think the Claras are pretty nice. Yeah, it's got a decent amount of detail and soundstage, and yeah, I would say fairly competitive with what's the other one? The 64 Audio Trios I tried before as well, around the same price range, is kind of like that level. Okay, so the Subatomic Storm, this one is probably the best IEM I ever listened to, period. Like, it's also the most expensive. I think it beats out the Aroma Jewel by like $100. It's still a 5K IEM. But yeah, it's the best sounding IEM I ever listened to. It's, I think, hands down, I prefer it over the Jewel. It's got, I would say the bass is probably the only thing I might be like, it's got decent amount of bass. It's not like a huge amount of quantity. I would say it's not too lean either. It could be increased maybe just a little bit. I think on the same level, the Multiverse Mentor would be nice, but at the same time, I can't say it lacks bass either. So the bass is great. It's well defined, and I think this might be the only frequency where people are like, maybe it might need a little bit more, but I can't really fault it for the amount it has either. It's still pretty good. Mids and treble, it has just the right amount. I think it's got like slightly pushed upper mids, treble also slightly pushed, not too much. It's got huge amount of detail, and a lot of body in the mids as well. It's got probably the blackest background I've ever heard of any IEM. It's got very, very clean separation of the frequencies, almost like I don't think it's necessarily the cable. It came with a nice high-end cable, but even swapping other cables, it still retains that nice separation between frequencies that you would often get with high-end cables, but this one doesn't necessarily even need it, because it's just the IEM itself is like that. Very clean separation, nothing bleeds into each other. Yeah, no frequencies bleeding into one another, and yeah, very, very black background, and the soundstage is massive. Probably the biggest soundstage I've heard in an IEM, actually. Like, it may be even like the TF Fortes. So yeah, the Forte, I think, might have been the biggest soundstage so far, but the Subatomic Storm might even beat that. So yeah, definitely, I think this is the best IEM I've heard, period. It's the most expensive and also the best IEM I've heard. Yeah, just if you guys have ever going to come across this IEM, definitely take a listen to it. It's kind of hard to find because of its expensive price, but yeah, if you ever get a chance to demo the Subatomic Storm, do it. It's an amazing IEM. So another thing about the Subatomic Storm is that it requires a lot of power to drive. I think out of all the IEMs, yeah, this one definitely needed the most power. I had to turn my DAP up to, I think, 120 out of 150 steps. That's using my Acetone Current SP3000M. Yeah, pretty much most other IEMs, I only have to turn it up to maybe 65 to 85-ish. With the Quill Satins, it had to be even more. It was maybe around like 95, I would say, 90 to 95. But the Subatomic Storm is another level. I had to turn it all the way up to like 115 to 120 steps. So yeah, it's probably the most power hungry out of all the IEMs I've tested. So definitely, it's even more power hungry than the Satin, which is saying a lot. So just keep that in mind if you're going to somehow get your hands on a Subatomic Storm. Just yeah, be mindful of the fact that it requires pretty much as much power to drive as a full-size planar magnetic headphone or high impedance headphone like that. Okay, so I mentioned the 64 Audio TF Fortes already, so I'll just talk about it now. Yeah, I had the chance to demo the TF Fortes as well. It's the flagship of 64 Audio. It's essentially the trio that I've talked about already, with more detail, with even more soundstage, with leaner bass, I would say. So it's not really V-shaped because it has leaner bass. The treble is still very hot and forward. So it's got yeah, like a similar amount of treble to the trios. So it's got elevated treble, a little bit hot on that. But hey, for treble heads, that's a good thing, I guess. And bass is leaner than the trios, and it's got better detail and more soundstage. It's probably got the widest soundstage of any IEM I've heard, except for the Subatomic Storm I talked about. So yeah, very, very good soundstage. It's even ahead of my Nostalgia Tesseracts, which already have very wide soundstage. So actually, the Noble Viking Ragnar, I think, might come close in soundstage, but I think the Forte still have like a wider soundstage, even though the Viking Ragnar probably has better layering detail. So vertical height, I think the Viking Ragnar has it beat, but in terms of just width, soundstage width, I think the TF Fortes still have a wider soundstage for me than the Viking Ragnars, and also the Tesseracts, which also have great layering and a wide soundstage, very airy. But yeah, the Fortes are very, very up there when it comes to imaging in soundstage. That's my thoughts on the TF Forte. It's not really for everyone, but I think it works well for dynamic tracks, I would say. Pop tracks and EDM and stuff like that, it works actually pretty well for that. Okay, UM next. Honestly, when I tried these ones, the tuning was a little bit, it's too V-shaped for me again. And it's actually even more V-shaped than something like the Trio. So to be honest, this is too much. It's like, even Andromeda, I was like, it's a little bit too much, but this one is like really, really V-shaped. Like to the point where the bass and the cymbals and hi-hats and stuff were just drowning out the vocals. And that's definitely not for me. It's got a decent amount of detail in soundstage, for sure. Like technically, it's pretty good for the price, but I just don't like the tuning on it. Yeah, I don't like the fact that the highs and the lows are just drowning out the mids. That's the thing I don't like about the Next. QDC White Tiger 2, this is the first IEM I've tried that's from QDC. For me, these ones are okay for the price. It's the thing that stood out to me is probably the soundstage is fairly wide, but it also sounds like instruments and everything are fairly distant. But yeah, that's something that I noticed about this one that I actually didn't like. Like normally that would be considered like, okay, wide soundstage or something like that, but it's almost as if the instruments sounded kind of distant from me, and I actually prefer it like a little bit closer. So yeah, it's interesting. It does have the soundstage, but because the instruments are like distant, it doesn't sound as intimate. And yeah, normally like I like to have a wide soundstage, but for this one I actually don't like the fact that that the soundstage seems kind of deep. And then the tuning's okay. I think that there's nothing really special jumped out to me about this one. Actually, it's just good for the price. Resolution, detail, I think, yeah, it's not like the best I've heard or anything. Yeah, honestly, the thing that I remember the most from this is just the fact that it had a pretty deep soundstage, and actually I prefer it wide than deep. But if you guys like the fact that instruments, you can hear it kind of behind the singer, then the QDC can do that. But to me, I actually prefer the instruments to be closer. So yeah, that's the thing I noticed about this one. That was kind of interesting, but it's really maybe not for me. So yeah, that's the QDC White Tiger 2. Next is Flip Ears Legion. This one is absolutely, I think, at least in terms of aesthetics, one of the coolest looking IEMs I've ever seen. I mean, just look at that shell design, right? It's just a really, really cool looking IEM. It's surprisingly not that expensive. Like, it's still expensive, but like not that expensive compared to the other IEMs on this list. It sounds pretty decent, I would say, especially for the price. Like soundstage detail, obviously not the best, but for the price, it's fine. I think it's a little bit muddy on the bass. Like the bass kind of bleeds into the mids a bit, and it's also a bit pushed up as well. So I guess if people like their bass, that's fine. For me, I prefer to have my bass just a little bit pushed up, not too elevated. And obviously I prefer it not bleeding to the mids and not sounding muddy. So I do feel like the Legion does have a bit of that, the mid bass kind of bleeding into the mids a bit. But other than that, yeah, it's actually pretty good for the price, you know, considering it's under 1K. So yeah, soundstage and detail and everything is actually pretty decent given the price. So yeah, that's my opinion on the Legion, and also very, very cool looking. Next, A-Fold Dawn X. I actually think these are really, really good for the price. Like 1,300, yeah, it's obviously still expensive, but I think it's really, really well tuned. I have nothing to criticize on the tuning, actually. I really like the tuning. I think the tuning actually reminds me a bit of the Multiverse Mentor, which I think is a great tuning. So it's definitely got just the right amount of bass, upper mids pushed up just the right amount, treble just the right amount. Yeah, I think tuning wise, it's really good. Detail, resolution, and soundstage and imaging, I think, is not quite as good as some of the higher end IEMs, of course. I mean, we're talking about this price range here of under 2K, but I think at least for the price, this is probably one of the best tunings I've heard out of an IEM for the price. You know, in this price range in this price bracket here, in price range here, yeah, I think that it's just really well tuned. Obviously, not the last word in resolution or soundstage, but hey, I think for this under 2K category, it's probably one of the best IEMs actually for the under 2K category that I've heard. This and the UMS Jet Black might be the contenders here for my favorite IEMs under 2K. Okay, so Noble Sultan, I had a chance to try these ones out as well, and I'm already fairly familiar with the Khan and Kublai Khan as I owned those before. The Sultan is fairly similar to Noble's other IEMs and tuning, I would say, similar to the Ragnar and the Kublai Khans in that the bass is definitely on the lean side and treble is pushed forward. However, it's got slightly better soundstage than the Kublai Khans, like a touch wider, which makes sense because it's just slightly more expensive than the Kublai Khans are. Slightly wider soundstage than the Kublai Khans, a little bit more def on the mids. Bass might be pushed up actually a little bit more on the Sultans. Overall, it's just a really well-tuned IEM. I mean, sure, it's still treble forward like other Nobles, but I think the Sultans are very, very good. Yeah, soundstage-wise, it's really good actually. And yeah, I would say on the same level as a lot of 64 audio TIA IEMs in terms of the air and spacing, so that's pretty good. Yeah, it's a touch wider than the Kublai Khans, which already had pretty good soundstage. And yeah, the bass is pushed up just a little bit, which is good because I felt like the Kublai Khans might be almost too lean in the bass. And yeah, a little bit more def in the mids. So overall, it's a great IEM actually. It's really well tuned. And yeah, as far as the under 3K category is considered, it's probably one of the best IEMs in that category. And I think detail-wise, it's fairly similar to the Kublai Khans, like because the Kublai Khans are already fairly detailed to begin with. So detail-wise, I think it's fairly similar. It's mostly the slightly wider soundstage, slightly more mid-body def, and slightly more elevated bass that I feel. It's fairly close between it and the Kublai Khan. It's just like a touch better, I would say, which makes sense given the price point. It's positioned just slightly above the Kublai Khans. The Canera Loki, I tried these as well. These are also very, very good IEMs. I think they retail for around 3K. And yeah, these ones, very good detail, very good soundstage. And the tuning wise, I think it's just like slightly too recessed in the mids for my liking. I mean, the mids are still very good. It's just like slightly too recessed for my liking. I wish the mids were just pushed up a little bit more. It would be better. Otherwise, yeah, it's a great IEM. Yeah, so soundstage detail, it's definitely got that. It's very comparable to other 3K IEMs, like the Campor 622B, for example, or yeah, Visioneers V10. I think it's just better than Visioneers V10 actually. And yeah, I just think the tuning wise, bass has got good bass, treble's got good treble. I just think the mids are a little bit too recessed for my liking. I wish they would just push it just a touch higher. It's not like it's too V-shaped or anything like that. It just feels like a soft V-shape maybe. But yeah, just the slightly recessed mids is the thing that gets me about this one. Otherwise, it's a really good IEM actually. So this is my first time trying Canera IEM and quite impressed with Loki actually. So yeah, overall very good. I just think that the mids are just a slightly too recessed for my liking. Wish they would push it up just a little bit more, especially the upper mids. And soundstage was good. Very good layering. So anyways, that is my opinion on all these IEMs that I've tried. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. But so far, yeah, pretty much every IEM I've tried, that's around $1,000 or more I've talked about in this video, and these are my top 10 really. And and my main reasons for why I put them in my top 10. Let me know what you guys think, but of course I know everyone's opinion is going to be subjective about sound, but I think when it comes to sound quality and all the different IEMs I've heard, I think these ones are roughly going to be my ranking for my top 10. So yeah, and again, I'm not listing it necessarily in terms of how expensive they are, but just how much I enjoyed listening to them. Yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions about that, and stay tuned for some impressions that my audiophile friend had about the Tesseracts and the Satins and the Multiverse Mentors. So stay tuned for that. Oh, it's got its unique look to it.
People don't like it, but I kind of like it. It's really like giving me Japan vibes or something. I don't know.
I guess I don't like it because it stands out too much. It's almost like it's so different than other IEMs. Yeah, it's like an artwork.
Oh, the nozzle's kind of like a little bit like. Huh. I feel like the nozzle looks a bit weird. Like the quality isn't that good.
Oh yeah, that's what people are saying about it as well, because the quality of the shell is not as.
I think 622B is like slightly better.
Oh really?
From what I can remember from it, this one, it's not as clear.
Yeah.
The holographic imaging might be better. This is from what I can remember. So,
yeah.
And I think the detail is better on the 622B.
Oh okay.
The tuning is also more exciting, I think.
On the 622B? Oh okay.
More exciting than this one.
Okay.
Yeah. I think so.
I gotta try it. Yeah. But I think the tuning's pretty good on this already.
Yeah. I like the design of this. I don't know why people like say they don't like it. The design.
Yeah, it's unique. By the way, with the Quills, did you remember to turn the volume up? Because this one requires a lot of power actually.
Yeah, I had to turn up the volume a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed that about these ones, they require a lot of power.
Yeah. I have my volume at like 100 or 110.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very unique about that one. I was like, whoa, that's like a full size.
It's like a headphone.
It's because I think it has a planar magnetic driver, that's why.
Oh.
Yeah.
I see. Do you think it has anything to do with the cable?
No, it has a planar magnetic, so I think it might be harder to drive.
Okay, the camper, like, this is what I think of it. It's like, I think like, every single part, like, it's just before the part where the bass is too harsh. It's just before the part where, actually the bass is not crazy. The bass is like, okay, like normal, but like, it's just before the part where like the treble is too hot. Just before the part where like everything's like just like I would say like A+ tier, but not into that S tier, except for the technicalities. The technicalities is like really good. That's S tier. Everything else is like just like A tier. Like besides the technicalities, nothing really stood out to me because the soundstage it's not as wide as the trios. The treble and stuff, like I think this one's more impressive. Treble, and then like for bass, I haven't tried any really crazy bassy IEMs, but
you didn't think the Quills had good bass? Like because the Quills like sub bass is actually pretty good.
Oh, it has like a really good thump. The thumping sound is really good.
It's rumble, like sub bass rumble.
Yeah,
it has really good sub bass rumble. Yeah. So yeah.
How do you download your music onto like your DAP through micro SD? Because I'm trying to find like a streaming service where I can just pirate music off of. I don't know.
Oh, I use torrents. I don't know if you know torrents.
And then you just like take the files.
So
basically.
Like you know Pirate Bay?
No, I have no clue about any of this stuff.
Oh, okay, well I can send you the website, but basically on Pirate Bay you just search for whatever music or album. Yeah. And then you use a program called uTorrent, and then you download it. And then you can get them in high res or whatever.
Like the highest resolution. Right?
You can get them in flat quality or something if they have it, and then after you just move it to the micro SD.
And it's free, right?
It's pirating, so it's it's free. Yeah.
Huh.
I can send you the websites. Yeah.
So I think that'll make like a little difference. But,
and plus you're using the SP3000M as well, so I think that's the DAP. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That too, yeah. What is this called? The UM.
Multiverse Mentor.
And how much are these? Brand new, like brand new.
Like, in Canadian dollars, would be like 6,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, these are the most expensive, but I got them like almost half
Yeah.
off on
Three,
Hi-Fi.
yeah. I can already tell I like this one better.
Yeah, I guess one.
Yeah, I like this one better. It's more. I feel like it's more exciting. I think the
It
treble's
is.
a bit. The mids treble area like is a bit raised. I think.
Yeah, it has more
Yeah.
mid bass too, so it will sound more like dynamic.
I want to compare it to Jet Black's though. I want to see
Oh,
how much of the difference.
it should be more exciting than Jet Black's, I think.
Yeah, I like this one.
Like Multiverse Mentor, yeah.
Yeah,
It is a fun sounding one.
this one is. I like the tuning of this one for sure.
Yep.
And it is definitely more detailed than Jet Black.
Yep. Yeah, it's also way more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the flagship of UM.
I see.
Yeah, Jet Black is like their mid range, and then
Yeah.
that one's their flagship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, but for me, like this, I think these two are actually pretty close. It's just the tuning is a bit different. This one has more the mid bass slam on it, and this one has a more sub bass rumble. And
Yeah, mid bass slam, more treble. This
Yeah.
one's a little bit more
but
neutral, maybe.
yeah, this one's a little bit more fun. But also, I'm not gonna say this. This one's also pretty fun too. It's not like
Yeah.
it's not exactly neutral either. Just this one's more so because it's like it
I,
feels like,
I would agree. I think these two are pretty similar.
Yeah.
I think.
and that's when I say that this one is better value for the price because
Yeah.
it's a 3K that hits as hard as a 4 or 5K.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think the clarity of the camper
Yeah.
it'll be a bit more clear than these. And then
But you would say like, is this more fun than a camper? Like you said,
Whoa.
camper's kind of boring.
maybe. It's super close. I think
Yeah.
these two camper, they're all around the same area.
Oh, okay.
It's honestly, you would have to try it for yourself because my preferences will be different. It's like close to the point where it's just like straight up just preference based. They're all like really really good.
Oh, okay.
So you just have to just like try it for
Yeah,
yourself.
I'm super curious. It is.
It
Like the
might be a
similar
bit
price.
boring though. It might for you. That's what a lot of people say. I just think the techs are like amazing on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's all around like similar now, around this level. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all like basically the same. It's just tuning.
Is this preference? Yeah.
Now that I use your SV3000,
Yeah.
I like the Quail better, or I like the Satin more, not better,
Yeah.
because I think this stack just has a bit more exciting tuning. Like it's a bit like brighter or warmer. I think. I don't know. The vocals are more forward on this than
It is. This
Yeah.
has an upper mid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Push. So
Mhm.
yeah, if you listen to female vocals, it'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this song. It's like with the Satins, they're like very well. It's very well controlled. Like nothing's like too much with the Satins. I feel like this song's really well controlled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
guess- I think both of them are really good.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
both like equal level. Just like tuning's a bit different, but yeah. But I think they both can be fun.
Yeah.
You can also try the Tesseract again if you want. But technicality, it might be a bit behind those two. But the staging, I think, has more air.
Is it because it's like, oh no, it's not an open back design. It's just like that. It kind of looks like it's open back.
And the shells are actually even bigger than the same things are.
Yeah.
Like these are massive shells.
I feel like a lot of people are gonna be interested in these IEMs, especially Satin. Like, a lot of people have said good things about them.
Yeah, I haven't heard anyone say anything bad about them. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only bad stuff is like I guess like the build quality, but besides that, like
Right,
sound wise,
right.
it's like.
Yeah.
Why don't you use the Chiron cable? It's
The thing is, the Chiron, I think will make every IEM better.
Mhm.
So I want to try like without the Chiron cable because I want to see what the IEMs are first at their stock level, basically.
Oh, I see.
And then whatever it is at stock level, it'll just be even better with
Yeah.
the Chiron. So yeah.
Chiron's actually so good. It actually makes like
Yeah.
I think think like a 5% difference.
Yeah, because
Something like
I
that.
know it always makes everything better. So
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm like choosing between the three. So I'm like, okay, whichever one's the best, I'll just use that with the Chiron. You know.
Yeah. Tesseract's not bad either.
Yeah.
They're all really close.
Yeah, it's all really close.
Ooh.
It's just like a few percentage difference. Like honestly, like
Honestly, they're all quite different too. Like,
yeah, the tuning and Tesseract's a bit different too.
yeah.
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 Tesseract definitely has a bit more imaging and air to it.
Yeah. It will be hard to find anything like significantly better than any of these three IMs.
I know like
Maybe like 1 or 2-3%, but like
yeah.
not like a crazy amount.
I know like the camper is probably going to be the similar level. It's just
similar level.
It's just like a different tuning.
I could never say that the camper's like a lot better. It's just similar level. You may like it, you may not.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. How about Valhalla? Have you tried that?
I haven't. Yeah. I mean, I could. I'm kind of curious, but then again, it's like
There's one on cam for 2350 right now. I feel like if I can get them to like 2K,
yeah,
it'd be a good deal.
it is actually cheaper than all these. So
It is.
yeah.
But it also has the most drivers too. Apparently the tech on it is insane. Like wait, how many drivers does this one have?
That one is 10. But I find like the driver count and stuff doesn't really relate very much because like the UMS, this Multiverse Mentor is a flagship with UM. It has less driver tech than the UMS does, and that's their mid tier.
Oh.
The UMS has 4 different.
It's quad grid.
It's quad grid, but the Multiverse Mentor is only a hybrid.
Yeah.
So I find like the driver tech doesn't exactly relate to the. Yeah, I think.
I think so too, because the trio only has 3, right?
Yeah.
So I think the more drivers, the imaging or the text is better because there's there's more drivers available to like, I think play different sounds or something like at a clear level, and I think that's what makes more drivers. I don't know. I think
It could be, but it depends on the brand. Like some brands, like their flagships only like 2 drivers or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it totally depends.
Like duality or.
Yeah.
And then the trios, they have like a tube, some tube technology inside one of their drivers. That's their like.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
TIA doesn't mean tubeless, right?
No, TIA stands for tube something. It stands for tube something. Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was like their tubeless technology or something.
Wait, what
And
is
I think it's because 64 Audio has that tech, and FRR too, because FRR was started by one of the 64 Audio guys.
Oh, it's tubeless.
Right? Yeah, tubeless.
Oh, okay. I thought
So 64 Audio, because usually I think they have tubes, but then 64 Audio doesn't. So
Yeah.
it's like supposed to like create more space or something like that.
Yeah, and it does. It does. I
Yeah.
think it's good.
Yeah. If you try FRR, I think you might like it too. If you like
R and
64,
6.
if you like 64 Audio, because the guy from FIR was former like
64
lead
CEO?
engineer at
Oh.
64 Audio, so they have similar tech. Except I think FIR has even more. Like they have this kinetic bass tech or something, which makes the bass like more tactile or something like that. So you should try like FIR stuff too. Yeah.